welcome back. We're looking at the Sahel crisis, using us to spotlight humanity, and our guest is the founder of the Meridina Foundation, a humanitarian organization focused on maternal child health, nutrition, and support for displaced communities across Africa. And of course, with her initiative, she's been able to provide meals for women, children affected by conflict around the world.
You're welcome, Lady Meridina, if you can hear me.
Hello, thank you so much. Really great to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank God you're here again. We're so glad to see you. Good morning. So a quick question. For viewers who may not fully understand the Sahel crisis, how would you describe what is happening in the region right now?
Yeah, in the region, it's characterized by a confluence of issues. Food insecurity is a key part of it, but also terrorism. The terrorism as well is in different parts, is sometimes herdsmen fighting with fishermen for resources, water and land resources. Sometimes it's tribal clashes and tribal wars. But there's a lot of terrorism, a lot of armed conflict, activities of non-state armed groups, together with other infrastructural problems like lack of educational facilities and lack of proper health care. And so this has led to a protracted conflict that has now lasted over 15 to 20 years, and it's getting worse. I just returned from N'Djamena, Chad, where I was reporting on the war in Sudan, in N'Djamena, and how it's affecting N'Djamena and Chad as a country. But also there's the northeast of Nigeria where we operate. We're also in the far north of Cameroon and operating also Chad and Sudan. That entire region is all part of the Sahel region, and it's undergoing a lot of issues at the moment.
Right, so why is this a crisis that the world should pay attention to? Why it's a crisis that the world needs to turn its attention to,
Yeah, it's the largest issue right now in terms of the number of displaced persons. There are more displaced people and refugees in the Sahel region than anywhere else in the world. And I know that in the news, it's not always fair in terms of what situations get more news attention, but we know that Africa doesn't always get the attention that it needs when there's conflict and when there's strife. So a lot needs to be done for even fairness in the media, so that people are reporting these issues, bringing it to the forefront, and getting them the help that they need. So my foundation, we are preventing malnutrition in women and children specifically across conflict regions in sub-Saharan Africa. So that includes Nigeria, Cameroon, Chad, Sudan, but also Mali, Burkina Faso, Central African Republic, the DRC, and other parts of the Sahel as well. This entire region is kind of the middle belt of Africa, and it's going through a lot of issues at the moment.
Said, and you're doing a really good job. Now, we understand that in this part of the world, like this continent, we have different expressions of art. We could use, storytelling, different expressions that we have as a tool to tell stories, especially when it comes to humanitarian advocacy. Why did you choose photography to express the art for storytelling in humanitarian advocacy?
So our exhibition, the Sahel exhibition, is something that is so dear to my heart. Over the past 10, 15 years, we've been gathering images on field, initially just as reporting for evidence, to show the work that we're doing to donors, to partners, and also to the government, and just for recording purposes. However, I looked at the pictures and thought, I really want the world to see this, because it just shows the stark realities of what's going on in the Sahel.
Okay, I don't know if you can hear us. Okay, we're really having a great time with that conversation. I don't know if she can still connect back to us, but we're going to ask about why did she use the House of Commons as a setting for this exhibition. I just love the fact that using art as a tool to tell stories is a very important part of the conversation.
Art is beautiful, and the fact that when you use illustrations and different modes of storytelling, it sticks than when you just use words. I feel like it is more interesting and more catchy to get people's attention. Just before she went off there, she made mention that she wants to be able to let people know, to see the reality of those people. But then I was about to ask just a little flip question, that now that we have AI, isn't that something that we can just generate,
I
pictures
know,
without the
see, that's the
contrast?
thing. There's some things that you cannot touch. Things like art, those are things that people taking time, effort, energy to put their work into. Yes, maybe AI can just refine, maybe just, okay, maybe this is how it looks with AI, but then there's some paintings, some artworks that not necessarily don't need a touch of AI, except you say, okay, this is purely AI, but that's the beauty of art and images. So I believe that we'll still be able to connect with her. If not,
Yeah, sure.
we'll probably have a later time. But like we said, the conversation is very important to have, and I love the fact that she's come on board to really support less privilege and use her platform to speak against things that are happening across the Sahel region and across the world. So it's very important that we have these very beautiful conversations.
And to think, well, when I look at Nigeria right now, I feel so sad, and it is so shameful to think that we are the giant of Africa and we are not maximizing and using our potential is so much, but we are not using even half of it, a quarter of it, in the sense that now we have people outside.
Sorry to cut you. I think she's back with us.
Oh, okay.
Lady Dina, welcome back.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Right.
Same. The Sahel exhibition to Parliament really puts it on the level that it needs to be in terms of urgency, attention, and global advocacy. At the exhibition, we had members of Parliament in attendance, we had United Nations representatives in attendance, donors, various corporate partners, and other even Nigerians and Africans in the diaspora. And it was great for everyone to come there as a convening in one of the most powerful places in the world to really put our cause and story across, and it was phenomenal.
So what stories behind some of these images have really resonated with you personally?
One of my favorite pictures is a picture of a little boy, just the reality of it. He was sitting down on the floor in the sand, and he had a bowl of food, I think it was beans, and he was eating beans with his hands. And the gallerist actually called that image euphoria, because even though there's a lot of poverty, a lot of food insecurity and difficulty, it also shows the resilience and the strength of the children in that region, and also the little girl in the blue dress. There's so many pictures that I love. There's also the boy holding bamboo. That image is called Bamboo, a boy holding bamboo, just doing normal everyday chores, but showing the resilience. There's a lot of suffering, there's a lot of difficulty, but they keep pushing. And the people there, of course, they're a huge inspiration to me and to everyone. They're the real heroes. I wanted to tell their story with truth and with integrity. And I think that's what we did and we achieved at the Sahel exhibition.
Okay, that's well said. Thank you so much for that. Now, this is pretty interesting because it got me to question, out of all the settings for exhibition, you chose the House of Commons. Why did you choose that?
Well, the Foreign and Commonwealth Development of the UK has been very, very instrumental in supporting malnutrition in northeast Nigeria. I had been working with them over the past few years. I gave evidence in Parliament, essentially discussing malnutrition issues in Nigeria. I was also part of the All Parliamentary Party group discussion on malnutrition in Parliament. So I'd sort of been in and out in Parliament a lot, supporting with a lot of the initiatives. And so they just wanted to see more about the work that we're doing, and I was very happy to take the Sahel exhibition there because that is where change is being made. Policymakers, donors, advocates, that's where these discussions are being had in these corridors of power, so to speak. And it was very exciting to take our work to them and showcase and represent Africa. Africa was in the building very strong. And, I loved my outfit. I decided I wanted to dress native, authentic. And so I wore adire with chantilly lace. And everything just came together as a beautiful depiction of strength and the beauty of Africa.
Well said.
All right, so just also add, beyond emergency response, what long-term solutions should government and partnerships prioritize beyond just short-term solutions, long-term solutions to, of course, the crisis in the Sahel region and beyond?
Yeah, absolutely. It's very important to strengthen health workers, strengthen the capacity of health workers, the nurses and the doctors that work in the local and state hospitals, the primary healthcare centers. They need a lot of support. They need trainings, they need guidance, they need better understanding of the protocols that is needed to distribute the malnutrition foods and support and supplements that donors give them, and that the government also gives them to distribute. But overall, strengthening their capacity is one of the biggest, most sustainable change that we can have in terms of healthcare resources and healthcare capabilities across Nigeria and across Africa. Additionally, of course, funding is needed, the manpower is needed. We need more people going into the health sector as volunteers, as workers to support the increasing need in that region. We also need corporates as well. It's not something that the government alone can do, and it's not something that the NGOs alone can do. There's an opportunity for corporates to really get back into their CSR, corporate and social responsibility, to support the work of the government and the third sector, which is the NGOs. And every other member of society, all the people in the public, there's nothing is too small. Your widow's mite, your kind of 5% perhaps from your salary, or you could use your savings. That's how I started my foundation 20 years ago. It was just from my my income, and every month I'd put something aside and I would feed a nursery school. We couldn't afford to feed both arms of primary one, so we would feed primary 1A today and feed primary 1B tomorrow. From that to 15 million meals a year. So you start from somewhere, but if you have the heart to help people, don't let anything stop you. Go ahead and make that change.
Thank you so much for that. That's well said. Now, you talked about, people coming up with different initiatives and doing it the little way you can, just like your own journey, how you started. Now you're delivering over like 55 meals to different nations. So how can people support or engage with this work?
We are always looking for volunteers. We definitely want people to help us in the work that we're doing. If you live in the areas where we operate, Borno, Adamawa, Yobe, the far north of Cameroon, the borders of Chad and Sudan, please do get in touch with us, and you could definitely help us as a volunteer to distribute food. Also, we have a lot of research analysts. We've been taking on over the years research analysts from Oxford University. We have a program at Oxford University, but we're open to other intelligent, young, aspiring girls and boys, women and men across Nigerian universities as well, across African universities, who want to support as research analysts. We're always researching new ways and new innovative ways to act more efficiently, and would love to hear from you. Also, social media, PR, graphics design, we have volunteers who help us with that as well, to get the word across and to support in pushing the stories out so that people see the work that we're doing. So yeah, find us on Instagram, Mary Dina Foundation _. Find us on X, it's Zero Hunger Aid. On LinkedIn as well, where it's Mary Dina Foundation on LinkedIn. And you can follow me, Mary _Dina. And yeah, get in touch with me or get in touch with the company, and we'll be able to connect.
Thank you so much, Lady Mary Dina. Thank you for coming on the show. The conversation, we'll keep having this conversation on how we can use Earth to change or drive advocacy, especially across the world and here in Nigeria. Thank you so much for joining us on the show. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.
It was nice to have you on the show. So we'll take a break, and when we come back, we have more conversations. Don't go anywhere.